Hello everyone! As you can see, I have a huge smile on my face because I've been looking forward to this episode for a few days now. I'm making lasagna. And let me tell you, lasagna is one of my all-time favorite dishes. So comforting, it brings back so many childhood memories. Can't wait to show you guys this recipe, so let's get started. So I hope you guys aren't too intimidated by the amount of ingredients I have here. And this is very important to me when making my lasagna, is that I build the most delicious, flavorful meat sauce possible. So right here, actually, I have everything we need to make just the sauce portion of it. We're gonna go through each step from the sauce, to the ricotta cheese, to the pasta, and baking and putting everything together. So in front of me, I have two different types of meats. I have some Italian sausage that I actually removed the casing from. And then I also have some lean mincemeat or ground beef. If you want to use vegetables, mushrooms, eggplant, if you want to use ground turkey or chicken or lamb, please by all means go ahead, but this is how I like to make mine. And I kind of feel like when you make a lasagna, there's no like real recipe. It's kind of like every family and every auntie has their own different way of making it, and this is my favorite way. So to start, I'm going to, of course, turn on my stove, and I have this really nice big skillet here. First, I'm going to be building my sauce, and I am going to be starting with some Cuisine soybean oil. And what I'm going to do is just soften and saute some of the veggies and aromatics that I have. And I say I'm looking forward to making lasagna because I have really fond memories of lasagna. Shout out to my Auntie Karen, I know you're watching. And if you're not watching, I'm gonna send you this video when it comes out. Because she was definitely the first person in my family who made lasagna, and we would always go over by her, and she would, if she made lasagna and I wasn't there, she would always wrap it in a piece of foil for me and I would eat it. Like the family would call me Garfield, even like as like a 5-year-old, because all I did was eat lasagna and sleep. So fun fact for you guys. So I have some chopped onion and I'm gonna throw all of it in. I know it looks like a lot of onion, but we're gonna let this sauce cook for quite a while. So all this is gonna cook down quite nicely. And I don't want my flame too high. I just want it enough to kind of get the pot going, because I don't want anything to get too brown or burn whatsoever. I want all the flavors to kind of just gently fry, gently soften, and then build back into the sauce. So next I have some garlic. And as always, I know I'm saying some and a little bit, but I will have the full description of all the recipes linked below. Just gonna let that cook. And then to that, I have some chopped carrots. Now I'm adding carrots because it adds nice sweetness into the sauce and gives the sauce a little bit more body as well. And this carrots, we're gonna cook this sauce for about an hour minimum. So these carrots are definitely gonna cook into the sauce. All right, and then right here I have some parsley and I have some chopped thyme, and I'm gonna just be adding half of each because I wanna reserve some of my fresh herbs for the end, right before we take the sauce off the stove. So with lasagna, it's a very modular dish, as in you can make the sauce ahead of time, put it aside, build everything later. If it's a Sunday or Saturday and you have more time to make it then, that's when you build it up. Or you can freeze the sauce, whatever you want to do. But just make sure you want to cool the sauce to room temperature first before you throw it in the freezer. Looks like we're making fried rice instead of lasagna here. All right, we're gonna get very Italian very soon, trust me. Next, I'm actually going to, I know I just picked up the tomatoes, but I'm actually going to add in my lean mincemeat. Just gonna work that down. And if you want to just do straight mincemeat, that's quite fine. However, I'm gonna luxuriate a bit today. You know, I sprung for a little bit of Italian sausage as well, and this is actually a pork sausage. An Italian sausage, it has fennel seed in it, it has a bit of sweetness to it as well, and a couple different peppers and spices. So it really adds a more authentic Italian flavor to the meat sauce. So let's just say at home usually I don't do this, but it's Simply Local. We're gonna go all the way this time. And for my big stupid smile, I am so excited. So I'm just gonna add this right in. And yes, I know it looks like little logs of sausage, but as I work it in with the mincemeat, it is going to break up. So I'm just gonna break it up in the bowl a bit and then continue working it. And I have to work quite quickly because I don't want it to fry and clump up together. So I'm just gonna break it down just like this. So I'm gonna cook this until it's nice and brown, and then I'm gonna drain off some excess liquid, and then we're gonna add all the tomatoey goodness to the sauce. Okay, so my meat has been frying for about 10 minutes and a lot of the water has evaporated from it. And now we're at the point where we're hearing the kind of like crackly sounds, and that is exactly what we want. We want the meat to get brown so that when we actually start adding more liquid in, that delicious brown crispy flavor all builds right back into the sauce. So we are at that point now. And right here, I'll walk you through my whole tomato sauce journey while this continues to fry. All right, so I'm gonna take you guys throughout my whole tomato addition journey. So I have here 2 cans of tomato sauce. Then I have a can of crushed tomatoes. So it's like whole tomatoes that have been pulverized. And then we have some tomato paste, as we know is just concentrated tomato flavor. And then I also have some soft tomatoes that I found in the fridge. They were like a little too soft for me to use for a salad, so I just chopped them up, and I'm going to be throwing that into the sauce as well. If you want, you could skip all of this and just get a marinara sauce or one of these jarred sauces from the grocery. However, I'm taking it nice and slow. I'm not in a rush whatsoever, and I want to really control all the seasonings that are going on in my pot today. But it's totally up to you. All right, so we're getting some nice fried crispy bits. And I wore black today because tomato sauce and white, it's just like magnet for stains. So there we go. Got some nice Maillard reaction for you science junkies out there happening on my meat. And Maillard reaction equals flavor. Maillard reaction means caramelization, by the way. And that's all part of building umami, which can be found in anything if you work for it. Smells delicious right now. Getting meat nice and brown. All right, so I'm going to jump right in with my cut up tomatoes, my raw tomatoes. Just throw that right in. And it's not like we're gonna have tomato pieces within our lasagna sauce. It is definitely gonna cook down because this sauce is going to cook for quite a while. Low and slow, baby. Next, I'm gonna go in with my tomato paste. I'm just gonna distribute it here, there, and everywhere. Continuing to work that in. Next, I'm going to go in with my crushed tomatoes. Throw that entire can in there. I'm just working that in. And our sauce is gonna get more and more quiet as we keep adding all these ingredients. And then we of course have our 2 cans of tomato sauce. Number 1, number 2. Our lasagna is gonna be very huge, just a heads up. Now work that in. Okay, so now it's time to finally add some of our seasonings. So I have some Italian seasoning here. Sorry, dried Italian seasoning here. Gonna work that in. Next, I'm adding a good amount of salt, and I'm gonna salt from above so that it's nice and even throughout the sauce. Because what happens when you throw salt in, sometimes it evaporates only in that one spot, so it doesn't get nice even seasoning. So you want to make sure you distribute it evenly. See, already I'm already splattering. Wear an apron or wear black, or wear something you don't mind getting a little stained when you're making the sauce. Next, I have some black pepper. Right, next I have some crushed red pepper flakes. If you don't really want too much spice, you can omit it, or you could just put less. And then I'm going to add some fresh basil. So I'm just going to chop this up into little ribbons. So I'm just going to throw some fresh basil in there. Just kind of have those in ribbons. And I've reserved some to add right at the end to add some extra freshness once the sauce is done cooking and reducing. All right, and last but not least, I have some of my Cuisine genuine demerara brown sugar, and I'm gonna add a few tablespoons into the sauce, and it's just gonna balance out the acidity in the sauce right now. There you go. You know, Australians, we like sweet things, but you could always control that. You could add more or less, or if you really prefer the more acid kind of sauce, you could do it like that too. So I'm going to put my sauce on the smallest burner of the stove, and I'm going to let that cook for about 45 minutes. And I'm going to clean this up, and then I'm going to show you guys the rest of the steps we need to build this lasagna and make it absolutely perfect. My meat sauce is simmering away. It's getting so nice and thick. Let me give you guys a little preview. Oh yeah, it's coming in. It's coming in. It still needs more time, but it's coming in. You cannot rush the brush when it comes to good homemade meat sauce. So now I'm going to move on to my ricotta filling. So some people might make a bechamel sauce when they're doing their lasagna, but I prefer to do a ricotta filling just because, I mean, it is a lot easier and it tastes really good once you spread that ricotta nice and thin. Nothing is worse than getting a big mouthful of ricotta cheese. It really is all about the balance when it comes to distributing it into the lasagna. So to start, I have my ricotta cheese. This is about 15 ounces right here, which is kind of the standard size of containers that they sell in the grocery and they sell at Massey stores. To this, I'm going to add 1 egg, and this is going to help bind the lasagna together. Got a little shell in there. Right, so egg goes right in there. Next, I'm going to add a bit of salt, some of my dried Italian seasoning, some red pepper flakes, some black pepper, and then a bit of the fresh herbs that we kind of held back. So I'm just going to give this a quick stir. So I'm just going to cover this, put it in the fridge. My meat is going to keep simmering, and while all that's going on, I'm going to show you guys a very easy way to prepare the lasagna noodles without having to take out another pot. All right, so while my sauce is cooking, I'm going to be grating up some of my Parmesan cheese, and as you can see, I'm using real block of Parmesan cheese, and I'm not using something that you could find in a can. Those ones don't melt as well. You could actually find some good quality Parmesan cheeses that are already shredded, but like they're usually in the kind of cheese section of the grocery. So just look out for that. But you know me, I'm gonna do everything myself. I'm a kind of a masochist in that way. So I'm just gonna grate this down, and then I'm gonna show you guys my mozzarella situation. Okay, so I told you guys I was going to show you all a way to prepare the noodles without having to pull out another pot from the pantry and boil water and make this place even more of a sauna than it is. So I have my noodles here, and I'm actually going to use the same dish that I'm baking the lasagna in, and I'm just going to place the noodles down into the pan. Then I have some water right here. The water is not boiling hot, but it's also not at room temperature by any means. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to soak the noodles and kind of get it to be softer, and it's going to absorb some of the water as we wait for the sauce to cook. That way we don't have to do the whole draining thing. We're just gonna pat the noodles dry and call it a day. All right, so our noodles have been sitting in here for about 25 minutes or so. And then you would see that a lot of the starches kind of come out of them and they are loosey-goosey. They're loosey-goosey, but they're also not broken up. I find sometimes when you boil them, they end up breaking, they end up sticking together, and the sheets are nice and separated, but they're still pliable. And if they have a bite to them still, that will continue to cook as the lasagna goes in the oven. So I also have my sauce. I've taken it off the heat because it's super nice and thick. If you'll remember how it looked before, it was very, very, very liquidy. And now all those tomato flavors have kind of concentrated in, and it is bang on delicious. So make sure and taste it. I already adjusted mine for salt and black pepper. It's perfect. So only one thing left to do, and that's to put this lasagna together. All right, so I'm just going to add the rest of my basil into the sauce, as well as the rest of my chopped herbs that I held back for the end. And there we go. I'm just gonna stir that right in. And we're gonna build this lasagna in a particular way to ensure that all the flavors meld nicely together, that there are no dry spots, and that it's a nice soft texture throughout. So to start, we're gonna line the bottom with some of our sauce, just like that. Next, I'm gonna put down some of my noodles. I'm gonna kind of do it in like an offset fashion, like so. And because they're very nice and easy to cut, I can just easily cut them to suit the little gaps, just like that. So on top of this, we're going to put our ricotta mixture that we made earlier. Just a quick little zhuzh. And I prefer my ricotta on the light side. I don't like big clumps of ricotta, so I'm gonna just use the back of the spoon and smooth this down. So next, I'm gonna lay down my first layer of mozzarella cheese, and I like to use these slices just so, again, it's nice and evenly layered. And to top it off, I'm gonna put a generous sprinkling of our shredded Parmesan cheese. All right, so this is layer 1 complete. I'm gonna build this until I get to the tippy top, and I'll show you guys how we finish this off. So we're drawing near to the end of our lasagna build, and I've gotten 2 beautiful layers in there with my ricotta cheese included. So now I'm at the end. I'm actually out of my ricotta, but we're gonna just finish off with the topping off of the lasagna. So I'm just adding the last layer of our noodles, just like so. Again, offsetting them. And then I have my one to fill in the gaps. Then I'm gonna take the remainder of my sauce, and I have a good amount, and I'm gonna top it off again, just like so. So just so you know, we have about 3 layers of sauce in here, so that's a good thing. So now we're gonna top the lasagna off with the remainder of our mozzarella cheese. And then I actually don't have any more Parmesan cheese left, but I did find some grated mozzarella cheese in the fridge, so I'm just gonna use that to top it off and give it an extra cheesy crust. Okay, so my lasagna is packed to the brim in this pan. Y'all, I swear this thing is like 15 pounds and it's probably like 15,000 calories, but it's gonna be sliced up and shared, so no big deal. So I'm now gonna cover it with foil. But before I do that, I'm actually just gonna grease the foil with a bit of my Cuisine soybean oil. Just like that. I'm gonna just rub the paper towel over it, just like so. Make sure it's nice and evenly greased. I'm gonna cover this with the foil. And that way, the cheese doesn't stick to the foil and we get like a nice reveal when the time comes. So I'm not even gonna like lie to you all. I'm definitely gonna have to bend my knees when I pick this up because it's so heavy. I'm gonna put this in the oven. My oven is preheated to 350 degrees. Gonna leave it in there for about 25 minutes with the foil on. Then I'm gonna take off the foil for another 25 minutes. Make sure we have like a nice bubbly brown crust. And then we're one step closer to dinner time. So you guys saw the process of making this lasagna from beginning to end. We actually let it set for about 45 minutes before we cut it so that we could have more, it could hold up pretty well. And I have a little corner piece, you know, that's always the best part. And this is a labor of love and I just cannot wait to dive in. So let's get a little slice. Ooh. All that beautiful mozzarella cheese, the sauce, the ricotta, I can already see is not too thick, just like a little line of ricotta. This is banging. Pretty good. Y'all, simple steps to make better meals, I swear. Just taking your time, thinking about the prep ahead and making that sauce from scratch, it definitely is worth it. This is the best. You will be the talk of the town with this lasagna recipe. I honestly can't stop eating. So good. I don't want to toot my own horn, but this is really, really good. And I definitely think you guys should try this recipe. The pasta still has its shape, so our technique with just soaking it rather than boiling it totally works. The ricotta is just barely there, but you're getting that creamy texture. It's not thick, it's perfect, and it's holding the whole lasagna together. If you try this recipe, please let me know how it goes. I would love to hear what you guys think. I'm definitely gonna make this again for my family. Instant classic. Special thanks to our friends at Cuisine for sponsoring this video. Cuisine products can be found at all Massey stores nationwide. And until next time, it's always a pleasure having you guys in the kitchen with me, and I'll see you soon. Bye.